Good morning everyone, welcome back to the channel, and today again we're going to obviously analyze EU for any of its day trading opportunities. So we're going to start off here on the daily chart, and as I mentioned on Wednesday, I believe the structure to be bearish, right? We're making those lower lows, lower highs, lower lows, pull back to that premium, right? So far rejected that premium to then continue to move bearish, which would make this previous weekly low, this low here of the structure that I'm reading, this leg, to be a possible weak low, right? So the low that failed to break the high becomes weak to continue to make another lower low again and lower high, continuing with that trend. So that's the possibility, and it's the same on DXY as well, which is here at the bottom. So far today, you can see we've taken sell side liquidity from the previous daily low here, and that's given us some bullish move. So sell side liquidity mitigated this morning, and you can see that that is producing some bullish behavior this morning, at least in London. Same on DXY, I believe it swept that previous daily high, very small sweep, but you can see we're getting bearish pressure from that point. One other thing I'd want to point out on the daily before we move on, we had a lot of bearish momentum initially, right? Reached down quite low into here. But since that Wednesday, you can see that that bearish momentum is actually dying down a bit. The candle bodies are actually getting smaller. Obviously today's just started, but that momentum did die down somewhat at this area here. So we may see some support levels on the lower time frame to see what's happening and explain that. With that said, let's go down to the 4 hour and let's see what this price action looks like. So here on the 4 hour, as I mentioned about that momentum dying off, we had that initial bearish move from that premium here, took that internal buy side liquidity, created that lower high and broke down. Since that Wednesday, as you can see, we've just been in this sideways range here, right? These candles are just not impressive. The price action is not impressive at all. Okay, there's no direction at all. So price has just been moving sideways in this range, likely for today, right, to watch out for NFP to manipulate both sides, buy side liquidity or whatever. So I was hoping for a pullback to this zone here or even this zone up here. This is the first possible resistance that we could pull back from, right, after meeting some sort of support here to then continue that bearish move. Okay, and then this is the second zone here, which I also discussed on Wednesday, right, if you want to go and see that. So again, not impressive PA, not impressed by this at all. So opportunities are going to be very mediocre in my opinion until we get into one of these POYs most likely, or come out of this range. Alright, we've got the same range happening on DXY as well. So nothing terribly impressive on the 4 hour, nothing would have changed much since Wednesday, right, and Tuesday when we made this initial move, because we've been just stuck in a range. However, as I said, today we've taken sell side liquidity and just about the buy side liquidity, and we're having some bullish move. Maybe we'll head up into this area where we can start looking for those shorts again, and maybe we'll get some sort of buy signals to come up into this area if price action looks good enough. So let's move on to the 1 hour. Let's see what that looks like. So as I mentioned, due to this range, price action of course is going to be very unimpressive for the last 2 days. Nothing much going on here. We have just made an internal sort of lower low, I guess, with this here, but we have SMC divergence from this low to this high low, and with this high to this high high, just about, by the way, nothing impressive again, but there is divergence at this moment, and you can see we're having some bullish momentum coming from there. Let me zoom in a bit more. So the last hour is just closed out. Massive bullish engulfing from the sell side liquidity and buy side liquidity above this previous daily high, which is a good sign. Right, the source of liquidity has produced what you would expect, so it may head for some more buy side liquidity above these highs. However, again, I see nothing crazy to look for on the 1 hour. In terms of longs, again, the structure is still looking bearish with this lower low, but with the SMC and the liquidity on our side, possibly we're going to get a continuation up into these zones or for the previous daily high. We will see. Price may just continue acting oddly in this range until news, and then it comes out and wipes out both sides or whatever it chooses to do and chooses this direction. So in terms of a bias, I'm quite mixed, and I think everything looks fairly mediocre, so I'd want to be quite careful. But at this current time, you may get short-term longs up in towards this previous daily high area, maybe drawn towards this POI, because that would make sense to be drawing price towards it. right, we're showing some sort of level of support by having a range and deceleration here. So it may just be time for that pullback. So if I'm going to be making any moves today, I'm going to need to see some sort of continuation of order flow, in my opinion, on a lower time frame. I probably wouldn't just jump into any longs here, given the way I trade. So let's go down to the M15. Let's see what trades may look like for today in this London session. Right, so what can we see so far? M15 here, we have made bearish order flow, right? We can see we're making those lower highs, lower lows, particularly here in Asia. With this Asia range here, we come up, took some buy side liquidity above highs, eventually making quite a clear lower low and break of structures below these internal lows with that range we was producing. So that could indicate, of course, for us to mitigate this area here where we have this M15 POI. Maybe we'll respect this zone here, maybe not, and go down and make lower lows, right? Continue with that bearish trend. However, what I would be looking out for, given we've just taken this sell side liquidity and we have that SMC still in place, as I mentioned, if I was to look for longs, I don't ideally want that long here because I think it's risky. There is an M15 order block here that swept that internal low. You could see the potential, say, looking at a lower time frame trading strategy, that's present there. But there hasn't been any particular break in structure on the M15 yet. I would still say that structure would be up here around this area. So that would be more of a confirmation for me for us to head higher. And you'd have the negative of this POI here. If we pull back now, they may go on to make a lower low. So a few things to think about. What I would be looking for longs personally be for price to pull down this area to get mitigated and respected, or maybe sweep its lows, right? We'll see. And then we get another break of structure above this high here, and we can get our corrective pullback down to our order block with imbalance, okay, where the source of the move that broke this high to then continue going higher. That would look better for me. Like I said, none of these moves are particularly special because of this range, but that's something I could see giving me a bit more confidence, right? So break of structure around here, possibly inducement around here, right, from the pullback back down to our new order block with imbalance, where our order would be set go long, coming from this sell side liquidity low as a continuation of that liquidity order flow and movement towards buy side liquidity. So that's something I would see. And again, if price breaks down this way, we may get indications of shorts coming into the market, right? So it can work both ways to go down. We'll see what price does. Again, news on the horizon, so it's one of those days that price can really mess about, and I would only really want to execute trades in the London session before New York, which would most likely wait for those news announcements before it makes any movements. So I hope that was clear. I hope you gained value from that. Any questions, let me know in the comments. Remember to like and subscribe, and I'll see you guys soon.